Alright, well today we're going to learn about the Dynon glass panel that we have here in a couple of our aircraft. We're going to talk about the two screens that we have here. The electronic flight instrument system, that's going to be on the left side, and then the engine monitoring system that we have there on the right side. Okay, first off, let's go ahead and power up the system here. Let's turn on the master switch and the instrument switch. Now I want you to notice when we turn on the instrument switch, the right side is going to turn on, but not the left side. So when we're doing startup, we want to have the right side on. It's going to give us all of our gauges there. It's going to give us our RPM, oil pressure, temperature, all that stuff we need to know. I see the trim annunciator right there. We can see the position of our trim. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Right now we're going to flip on our avionics switch there, and now the EFIS is going to come on. That's what we call it. Okay, and here we are. We have our attitude indicator here. So generally, how people operate is they have an attitude indicator on the left, and then the engine instruments on the side. So here on the top we have our heading information here. If you watch the autopilot video, you talk a little bit about the heading bug here, on top here. We have our airspeed, which is going to be down here. If we're actually flying, our airspeed would show a number there. We have our altitude, 310 feet where we're sitting at right now. And this VS here is going to show you your vertical speed. And then you have your basic attitude indicator, which shows, ready to climb and bank and stuff like that. A lot of people, when they step into the glass, they wonder where the ball is to keep coordinated, and that's right here, right under there. Let's initiate it right there. You have your altimeter setting right down here in the lower corner, and then also you have another trim annunciator right here. Here on the right side, you have your altimeter tape here, and right here in that box, it'll show you your altitude. Right here, we're sitting here at 270 feet. This VS right here is the vertical speed. So when you're flying, let's say you're doing a climb, it's going to show a triangle with the pointy side facing up, and it's going to show your vertical speed. Say 500 feet per minute. It's going to get 0, 500. Another thing up here with the heading, if you watch the autopilot video, we talk about the heading bug, which we have up here. And as you rotate that, it'll turn this yellow heading bug, and the heading down here will change. You'll see that here in the menu. Okay, so to change the display here, some people like to have it different ways. So I'll show you different ways to do it. Obviously, you want to check the manual and read how to operate this thing, but these are the basic operating functions of this Dynon. These two outer buttons here that you have, if you hit either one, you can start scrolling through the displays. Here you have, first of all, you have your flight instruments here on the left, and on the right side, you have your TAC, your oil pressure, temperature, fuel, EGT, and CHT. Pretty much the important stuff you need to know. Not as in depth as the right hand side, the EMS, but still the basic stuff you need to know. When I'm flying, I like to have this screen right here. I like to be able to at least look at the throttle and the oil pressure and temperature without having to look on the right side. And all I did is I tapped the button once, and it scrolled through the screen there. Now if you hit this left button here on the end, it'll go back. It'll go back to the page it was on previously. So let's keep scrolling through here. So like I said, that's the page I like to have on, but it's just a matter of preference. Scroll again. This talks a little outside air temperature you have here, OAT. You have your trim indications here. As you see when I move the trim, the white bars here move. You have a bunch of information here about time and timers here. You have your flight time of the previous flight, your trip time. You have a timer here. Also, if you want to set the fuel in here, say you fill up full tanks, you could set the fuel and have your gallons remaining. You could say you have your gallons used on the trip there, and also your time remaining. So it does a quick calculation with your fuel burn, and it'll tell you how much time you have remaining and how many gallons you have remaining, which is a nice feature. Here you have a couple of annunciators here for the generator and the fuel pump. Notice here I turn on the fuel pump, and the green light comes on. So it's an indication that the fuel pump is on. Let's say you forgot to look at the switch, you can see here on the annunciator that it's on. So let's keep scrolling through here. Now this is a more in-depth fuel analysis here. Like I said, you could set in your fuel tank. You could tell you how many gallons remaining if you go in there and set that up. Your gallons used. You have left and right tank right here. So it tells you how much fuel you have. Obviously, you physically check your fuel tanks before anything, but this gives you an indication of what it's at. This tells you here your gallons per hour that you're burning, which is pretty nice to know for fuel planning, and also your fuel pressure. Okay, right here we just got a little warning light saying that we have a low oil pressure, which is okay because our engine's not running. We don't have any oil pressure, so we can go and it's low EGT. So whenever you get an alarm like this ACK button, you hit that, and it'll silence that alarm. You'll hear it beeping in the system there. So acknowledge, that stands for acknowledge, and there we go. Now we're back to the screen there. Okay, keep scrolling through here, and notice as I keep scrolling through here, the attitude indicator never leaves. On this side, you're always going to have these indications no matter what you do. You can never have just engine instruments, and then that's for obvious reasons, because those are your flight controls. That's what you want to be seeing. Okay, here we have a more in-depth time here. Now you have your local time. You can set your Zulu time, your flight timer, trip timer, and here is where you have the Hobbs meter also. So say you ended a flight and you're looking for the Hobbs meter, you keep scrolling through until you find the Hobbs meter right there. Scroll through again. We talked about this a little bit in the autopilot video, but here's your HSI, basic information there. Usually when I'm doing a cross country, I like to navigate between the instruments, and then every once in a while click on this and see where I'm at. And here we are back to the beginning. And like I said, if you want to go backwards through it, you can, but it's good to know where the pages are and where to find this information. So there we have the EFIS. That pretty much covers how to change the displays and how to scroll through different readings. One more thing actually I'm going to show you here is how to change the altimeter setting. One thing when people get into glass, they wonder, okay, how do you even change the altimeter setting in this thing? One thing, we talked about the outer two buttons, how they change the display. Let's talk about these inner buttons here, the middle buttons. So let's go ahead and hit any one of these middle buttons here, and it's going to pop up a menu. Here it says you have the EFIS here. We're going to talk about, first of all, the altimeter setting. We hit baro, and here we have the altimeter setting that it's set to right now. We can change our units here. Right now, obviously we want inches of mercury. And we have a decline and an increase, two little buttons right here, the soft keys. So these are software enabled keys, so they have different functions based on whatever the menu is showing. Okay, so let's say the altimeter setting is 3000. The way we would change that to 300 is hit the increase button all the way to that, 3000. And that's how you change it. To get out of the screen, here, out of the menu, hit back and exit. So hit that screen twice. So again, change the altimeter setting, any one of the middle buttons here, baro, and then increase or decline, and the end key here twice. Okay, in the screen here you have a couple other things here. You have some autopilot information here. I have a checklist here, which is pretty nice. POH checklist. You have emergency checklist, which you can get into. Say you have an emergency. You know, if I had an emergency, I'd pull out the physical checklist, but it's here for reference if you want to look at it. The emergency checklist, say for fire, and then you have your whole checklist right here. And you could go up and set it up. The person who actually sets up the software can go in and manipulate this checklist to whatever the POH actually says. So we'll go ahead and you can see down here it says example checklist, do not use. But let's say I was about to take off and I wanted to really quickly review something here. I could quickly go here and review the checklist. And you can see all this stuff here. For span, it tells you the checklist here, the T codes, the transponder codes, VFR, hijack, radio failure, emergency. Just a little cheat sheet to have there. It's a nice function. I rarely use it, but it's there. You have your miscellaneous information here. You have your phonetic alphabet there in case you're reading Sarah Charlie and you don't know what to say. I don't know. It's something you should know anyway, but that's there. There we go. This is actually kind of useful here. The light gun signals. Obviously, you know, we should know those, but they're easy to forget. So all the light gun signals are there. You have your time, converting from Zulu time. Flight plan. This is actually pretty neat. If you're going to file a flight plan in the air with Flight Service Station, you have a certain order that you need to go in, and if you don't have a flight plan sheet in front of you, this would be really helpful to reference off of. And this just talks about the Dynon and a little information about it. So that covers pretty much everything here about the EFIS.